Good day, my friend. Today is just a day we are waiting for the new typhoon coming to my town. It's pretty ordinary things. Every year, nearly the same season, we have a pretty much of typhoon. You know, sometimes um, it causes a little bit serious disaster, but it's pretty usual. But we have a lot of rainy day during the September, and then we will have autumn. Very short autumn, and then we will have the winter. So um, today I just are talking about. Actually, I was what what I did was I was writing new my book for next I think the for in this year. I just have to do in front of my computer to write the article, you know, to which is how to paint, what sort of idea do I have, whatsoever, but it's pretty it's pretty dull work. I'm not good at writing, I just like to to do with my hand, but not think or write or even speak. I'm not pretty good at it, so it's pretty hard. I spend more than um, you know 3 or 4 days almost, and I just have to collect the uh, my photo to explain blah 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 something like that. To make the sense itself clear. So I have to upload it, download it from the to the computer whatsoever. So yeah, making the model kit itself is very very easy to me actually, but instead of that, making the books, preparing for the books is always confusing because I'm not good at in that way. So I spend I spend a lot of wasting my wasting my time rather than I expect. So whatever. When it comes, I will announce that. So maybe you can keep in touch with that. Maybe I'm pretty happy with that when it comes. Um, I can explain that when it comes. Okay. So today was not so serious talking. Um, I just I just wondering how long can you keep your material for a long time since you buy it, since you bought it? I mean, some color material cannot be keeping for a long time. I mean, you should spend until that, until it itself cannot use it anymore. Some color you can recycle, but sometimes this is the nice idea to buy it new one rather than you are keeping so long time. Maybe um, for example, I think the Arctic color, something like this. I think it can keep so long time. I think more than 5 or 10 years, you can still use it. It's just because the thinner itself is pretty tends to more like water, and it's very slow to dry completely, right? So once you buy it, you can maybe you don't have to buy it until you use the whole things. But sometimes um, you may find something like lacquer color, something like this, is easy to dry, right? Once you use it and you and finish it, your modem, right? And then I think the is it's always up to the amount of the content itself, right? But okay, you still remain you still remain I think there 20% or 30% content, and then you just throw it maybe 2 or 3 months. After that, you open it. You can't use it. It dry completely. So at that time, you have to put the new. You can recycle this, but um, mainly if the color itself is so little and dry it, it's pretty hard to recycle, right? You can put the new thinner to the color itself is reborn, but sometimes you just give up. Okay, throw it away. You still better to buy the new one, right? So the lacquer color is easy to dry, but you can still recycle it, right? You can reuse. But it's up to the contain amount of the container, amount of the color itself always. And the second, I think the third, um, you may find something like this kind of color, which is enamel, right? Based on enamel, this this kind of color. Or you can maybe you are more familiar with what something like this kind of color based on the enamel thinner, right? This kind of color is pretty um, handy, but um, you can't keep forever. I mean, you can't keep so long time. Even this is Ricket, right? And this one, okay, you, you. I think how many times do you use it? It depends on you, but I don't use. Sometimes I don't use more than half year or more. 1 year, 1.5 year. I never open the cap. So um, basically inside, if you see the inside itself, you can see the pigment itself is downside, and then you can see the major thinner is upside. It's always separate, divided, right? And then you can mix it again and use it. But if the time spent so long time, even if you are mixing, shaking inside, the quality itself cannot be reborn again. I mean, the amount, the content of the pigment itself is so rusty. Um, it's something like um, it can't be melt very much. Even I shake, I shake, I shake, I shake, still you can see the not well mixed, and even it's not only this, but also I can see this. I think nearly the same result, something like this kind of color. This is made in Japan, but I don't know. But the I don't know technically. I don't know, but um, I used to use this color, ground brown, which is this. I think more than 3 or 4 years, and then the last month I just opened to use it. However, the it can't be wake. It can't get up. It doesn't wake up. Still, I don't feel uncomfortable contain even the color itself is get ready to paint. It doesn't seems to be the new one. Something like the color, the pigment itself is too. Um, I don't know how to say, but um, it doesn't. I mean, how do I say? By the way, it's okay. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime. It all depends on the product, but sometimes even if you still using, is okay. But actually, the quality itself is going down. So it's not reusable. I mean, sometimes you can just put the new thinner, you can get it up. But in this kind of color, even in a Tamiya enamel thinner color, this is based by the Tamiya enamel, but the content itself is the year by year, um, the quality of the pigment is going down. It doesn't melt so well. So even I checked so many times, you know, the pigment is changing to like mud, not the sand. It's still mud, So I can't paint it as usual as I did before. So you know, so on the other hand, maybe I should buy the new one. You know, this is the basically 380 yen. I mean, nearly the $4, not over 5 or 6 or 10. It's not so expensive anyway. No, I can still, the four. Okay, $4. I can still keep it, but instead of that, if you spend more $5, you can buy a new one, and it guaranteed that you paint as the as you did. But you don't use it for a long time, 5 or 10 years. Okay, what the what the $5 mean? You know, this is not 500 or 10,000 yeah, dollars. It's just $5, so you can buy the new one. Okay, something like that. So um, before you are going to use some sort of paint, or which is you spend not using time for long time, I think you should better to check before use whether the quality of the color product is still good or not, right? Basically, some kind of color. This is oil paint. I think this one keeps very very long time. I think more than 10, more than 20 years, you can still use it. This is pretty long life it has, you know, long live. Or maybe you are just having something like the pigment only, right? You just have it. What where the I don't know where it is, but this is the pigment. Um, I have some pigment. The origin of the color, right? This is pigment. Just you have to use with your own thinner, right? This kind of things you can keep it for a long time. I think still when I die, I think it can be still on. You can use it. But if you can see, if I don't use for a long time, if you see the divided, right? The problem is if the product itself is pretty new, you can just simply are shaking and then you can use it again. But seriously, if the color you can just keep I think more than 5 or 10 years and you don't use it, maybe the color itself turns to like something other things, not like pigment. What I said before, just like matte and never melt so well. I think um, sometimes um, yeah, this one is still okay. I think still useful. Very easy to uh, very easy to shake, and this is still ripe. But sometimes I can't use it because I shake so many times, still the pigment itself cannot be melt down. So at that time I have to get up, you know, gave up. Okay, this one is pretty okay. You know, always you need to shake these kind of things well before you use it. But like what I said, sometimes it cannot be used. I don't know. It's I don't know. You know, it's very scientific thing. So I don't know what it calls, but sometimes enamel color is easy. Sometimes you cannot use it, right? Yeah. So always you need to check before you use it. Okay. Some color you don't use for a long time, maybe you have to throw it away, right? Basically, this is not made in my country, so the cost itself is up pretty higher than what I explained before. This one, I think this one is 2 or 2.5 times a little bit high price to get it. So so sometimes I feel something like I have to reuse whatever I want, right? But when I give up, I need to spend more money, right? To get a new one, right? So um, other things. Maybe um, this one is pretty dangerous. This one I bought, I think, nearly 3 years ago, so I'm not sure whether it can be used. Still, I think this one is still okay. Yeah. So sometimes the color itself is too mud, something like this, right? This is pretty muddy. I think this is the pigment, but pigment itself should be melt so well when you buy the new one, right? But sometimes it's take a long time. Yeah, still remain the very much amount of the color. It can be melt, right? So this product is getting start to um, rust. I mean, I don't know how do I say in English, but something like vegetable or fruit. You should eat as much as you can in a short time. Otherwise, the color itself is, very turn to very strange things, right? This is uh, basically should be more like clear surface. When I take this out, this is not this is it has a clear thinner clear content. Well, I don't know, what do I have to say, but yeah, still something like this, right? Cannot melt. So, uh, which means I have to use it. I have to use it in the short term. Maybe the life of the product itself is sooner or later um, come to close. Yeah, but I think it's still use. Still, I can use, but I don't see any brand new um, figure of the content from this. Okay, so this is my favorite, but I cannot keep forever. Otherwise, I should better to buy the new one. So sometimes you have to waste. Sometimes you don't have to waste. It's all up. It all up to the product of the color. Okay. This one made in Italy. I think some kind of people are very familiar with this, but I don't know in Japan. I think this one is still okay. Yeah, still very nice. Because I think basically, technically speaking, in an acrylic paint field, I don't see any rusty situation in a acrylic paint field. It can keep so long time. You know, um, yeah, it's still okay. And some color, if when you are dealing with the dry completely inside, you can reborn with the new thinner. And maybe you just you put the thinner and then you just take the color. I think 1 or 2 days after that you open again. Maybe sometimes the color itself is it can be used reborn. so you can start to use again, especially as I said, in the lacquer paint. It's easy to dry, very fast, easy to dry, but easy to recreate, not recreate, create. I think deborn to use. Okay, I think most important material that you should notice is, I think, basically enamel paint. Enamel paint, it seems to you can use for a long time, but actually, in from my experience, and sometimes I can't, I can't use it. I can't, I can't use it. I mean, this is pretty old one. This is the rusty red. I bought it for a long, long time. I think more than 5 years. So I think this is pretty dangerous to keep. It's pretty the the content itself is, I think, still I can use it, right? But some pigment is very hard to melt. So the color itself is too like a mud, right? Not soft, very tough. See, yeah. I shake it for a long time. It has to be more like smooth and soft. I don't see any hard amount of the pigment, but still I can see. But I think it's still okay. I can use it. This I can use this one. You know. So this is the I think if you are pretty old, I mean, you spend so long time on your modeling. Maybe you used to have the same experience what I have. Some color is so hard to use, right? This one is okay. I used to throw it the color away before. I think the two or three colors that I bought is no longer to use. You know, it's so the pigment is so mud. It's not suitable for the paint. It can be melt. It's not a stone, but it's very uncomfortable to use it. So I just threw the color away. So I bought a new one. So I just still can keep my collection of my damn color very nicely. So I cannot find a very rusty one. So I think I don't use so much this color because I don't paint my aircraft model as the abandoned. So I don't use this kind of color, but I just still keep in my favorites. So you know, like something like you buy the new kit and just open the box, and then um you just keep your kit in your store box, right? And then you never open until you did. Something like that. The color is, I think this one is pretty brand new. I think I just spent 3 or 2 years since I bought it. So I think the condition itself is pretty fine. I don't see any uncomfortable figure when I look at my stick. I think the color itself is, very useful. So, you it's really up to you. Just because um, I don't see, I have no idea whether you still keeping the so much old paint material. Um, it's it's it may suffer your painting techniques. I mean, um, okay, is this kind of color, which is lacquer, is my major paint material, right? So I spend so much, so I have to buy a new one and just use it, and then you know, um, I buy I just it has just small amount of color, 10 milliliter, 10. Okay, it's okay. So I don't keep the same color for a long time because I use so many times. So I have to buy the new one and just waste it and then buy it. So in that kind of color, I don't have to pay attention to reborn, right? But instead of that, once I bought it, this kind of color, I don't use so many, right? I don't many, maybe once in a year, twice in a year, right? So you still keep this one is for a long time. So you don't have to buy it, right? In this kind of color that um, it's always your modeling environment, though your modeling background, right? If if I am are like armor fighting vehicle modeler, maybe this kind of color is pretty usable. So I may use so many times for short term, but I am major my modeling is aircraft, right? So in this kind of situation doesn't come. So even the color is has nice quality. Whatever you use it or not, the color itself is turning to more like uncomfortable situation, right? So the better way to keep your color quality itself is very nice is I think the only one solution is you just use it so many times, right? And then waste it. But the problem is I think the more than I don't know how much I think the 40 or 50% of my collection of my color is no longer to use. Even I keep because I don't use it. You know, as you know, in a aircraft field, modeling field, I just my major color that I always spend is basically like gray color, right? Because in a modern aircraft it has so many gray, right? It doesn't have so much red or yellow or blue whatsoever. Many times I just spend is mostly comes from gray. So okay, I spend a lot of gray color, but okay, I just once I bought the red color, something like this. I think this one is pretty old, so I just wonder how it can be survived or not. It's just still okay, right? Sometimes you just buy the color on very special purpose, not always you use, right? So in that kind of color, maybe it can be wasted. It can be, rust. It can be, it has to be, reborn, or even you have to, put the car itself to the rubbish bin, something like that. Okay, today is the topic of, you know, wasting the money. So, um, some country you can't use the lacquer paint, right? And some country people are mainly used for the acrylic color instead of the lacquer color, right? The acrylic, it doesn't have so much problem. I clearly I see, the acrylic color is pretty long life. It has actually, but lacquer color and enamel color you have to check before you seriously use. Okay, right. And so, um, have a good day and see you next time.